Okay, so this week I'm going to be playing Gerard Fabiano's Esper control deck that he finished in the top four of last weekend's Star City Open with. Um, Looking at the list, there's a lot of things that are pretty stock. 27 lands, 12 temples, less duels, and two mutavaults is pretty much the norm since Grand Prix Cincinnati. And a bit before that, I think it was a Huey list that had a lot of these characteristics. Um, Black in the deck solely for Thoughtseize and spot removal has also been pretty typical lately. This deck's actually a little heavier on black than the ones I've seen, with a third Thoughtseize and Ultimate Price as your backup removal spell instead of something like Last Breath or Syncopate. So that's worth noting. There are zero Banishing Lights in this deck. I don't know if that's a holdover from previous events or if Gerard just decided he didn't actually want another 3 mana removal spell. I'm inclined to think that you might want a few, just because Hero's Downfall has always been a card that you wanted but can't play, and Banishing Light is very similar. We have our 4 Dissolves, 4 Verdicts, 4 Jaces, 2 Elspeths, 4 Revelations. That's kind of the core of the deck that I think pretty much every list has. These are your actually powerful cards that let you play games, and Dissolve is just simply the best counterspell available. Scry 1 is actually a pretty relevant ability. Gerard has opted for some interesting flex slots of Jace instead of Aetherling or nothing. I'm not really sure why Jace would be better than Aetherling, but presumably he has a reason. And he has a Fated Retribution as another powerful sweeper. I think this card is really important if you're trying to face down something like monsters, because it kills every single threat they can have. They can have a Xenagos that's made a bunch of guys. They can have a Domri and a Stormbreath. They're just all dead. All of them gone. So I don't actually mind this card that much. Moving to the sideboard, we have the standard 2 Archangel of Thunes, and another creature in the form of Brimaz, King of Oreskos. Some of the previous lists have been playing Nightveil Spectre in the creature slot, but this guy's a little bulkier, a little more important against green decks, a little bit worse in mirrors because Nightveil Spectre is a card advantage engine, worse against black because, again, Nightveil Spectre is a card advantage engine, and presumably worse against burn because you cannot block a Chandra's Phoenix with it. I'm inclined to think that Spectre is going to be better because it's better against those 3 decks, which happen to be the 3 biggest decks in the format. But it's also possible that if there's a surge in aggressive decks or green decks playing 3/3s for 2, you want Brimaz. Pithy Needle has floated around a lot of lists, just an answer to Mutavaults or Underworld Connection lands or all sorts of things, opposing Planeswalkers. Dark Betrayal to hit black creatures like Packrat, especially brutal against mono black aggro, but also just having more efficient removal against mono black control is important in the mid game. Negates and dispels to fight counter wars in the mirror. And finally, we have Ashiok, which is from Block Constructed, has proved itself to be a very powerful threat against mid-range decks, at least. It's very difficult for a lot of decks to beat turn 3 Ashiok Plus just because there's so many good 4 drops for you to hit, which then you get to minus it and have a creature and a Planeswalker in play, which is real difficult for them to beat. I'm interested to see how this performs relative to some other decisions that could be made. For example, you could be playing, like I said, Last Breath. You could be playing Divination or Syncopate. So I think there's a lot of small decisions that will change a lot of things with this deck. We'll see how it goes.